Uh, Talking about bias and objectivity, the next topic that I want to talk about, and everybody's been talking about this,
Uh-oh.
the slap heard. Was it a slap heard across the
A
world?
slap heard around the world.
Was it a backhand or was it like a no? I think it was a.
It,
It
all-
was like
it all
it.
happened so quick.
It did, but it's a slap that's heard around the world. I know it's a little late on this. It's happened. Was it been a month?
Yeah,
And
about that.
yeah, so it's been a month, and this has been a hot topic that has divided a lot of people. I don't know about y'all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've had what? What was that you doing? Are you? What was that? What was that? Cat?
Mm.
It's
Mm-mm.
like so you start rocking
The
so you don't hit
mode is
somebody.
bench. Yes.
Little bench.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
So what was your reaction when you heard about the slap that
So,
was heard around the world? Like, and where does your where was your bias going, or what were you inclined to go, or was there
um,
bias? What do you think about that?
so, of course, I didn't see it live. I just kind of was on Facebook and I saw it, and
Mm-hmm.
I was puzzled by it mostly. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, well, there must be something else. Like, what? The long and short of it is, I personally didn't see any logical reason why that should have happened.
Right.
Um, I do, especially, from Mr. Will Smith, who is, he's known to be, deeply immersed in all these different self-help philosophies and
Right.
everything else but Christianity, which is his prerogative. But I'm just saying
Right.
he's in all these different philosophies, and he's always trying to dispense some type of wisdom or deep knowledge. It's almost like he talks sometimes like he's a guru himself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so for such a person who's supposed to be so enlightened,
Right.
and it was shocking for me. And I sound like I'm making fun of him, but I'm really serious. Will Smith does talk like this. He talks
Mm-hmm.
like he's achieved this type of
Right.
level of consciousness, and he
Right.
is always working on himself and doing all this work. So for him to just snap like that, I was
Right.
like, well, what about all this work he's done that he's been
Mm-hmm.
talking about? Like what happened? But and then you of course I began to hear people you know go to their corners about what they think happened and how they
Right.
felt about it, right? And of course, uh, there are some very interesting things that people were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's I was confused and I was befuddled. We react at first. What's your first reaction? I was confused. I was befuddled. I was like, "What's going on? This is not who I knew him to be, or the image
mhm,
that I was doing." Um, I I don't like violence of any kind, as most
mhm,
people do. And where I slanted, where I kind of went towards was like, clearly he's wrong.
yep,
Clearly he's slipping and sliding and dodging. Reminds
mhm,
me of pimp preachers that would just fake apologize,
yep,
and people are still platforming this dude. People are
right,
like whatever, and like, you are so not who. It just triggered me
mhm,
to my churchianity days with the pastors that are fast talking out both sides of their
yep,
neck, and
yep,
they get caught in something and they do a fake apology, but because
mhm,
they're celebrities and they have these super fans, people are defending them. And I was like, it was just going, I was going in the way, way, way back machine with stuff that didn't have anything to do with this, and be like,
mhm,
boing, and then there it is. Right. And it I had to kind of calm myself down to re-examine this. And it took a while to get there for me to get to that objective place. Like, is it right? Is he wrong? What's going
mhm,
on? It takes time. I
right,
don't necessarily have the time when I'm reacting to stuff to kind of be
mhm,
logical and wise about stuff. And I think everybody, in all fairness, everybody had a visceral reaction. But here's where it came to head for me, dealing
mhm,
with my pride, my
mhm,
lack of love, my
mhm,
lack of empathy. I had a discussion with one of my closest friends recently about this whole issue. I was on the camp like, I wasn't like take away Will's Oscar, but he was clearly wrong. Clearly
Right.
wrong
Right.
as Two Left Feet, wrong as Creflo Dollar and Eddie Long having a theological conversation about giving. Wrong as okay, let me stop. Wrong. So that was my platform. That was my agenda. I was so, passionate about that. So when I caught a conversation with a sister friend of mine, she would say, well, yeah, he shouldn't have gotten violent, but I can understand why he did. I'm like, what? It's like,
Hmm.
and she was coming from a place of, well, he was defending his wife. I was like,
Hmm.
she was in no danger. What are you talking about defending? I was getting animated. And it wasn't until very recently where I calmed down, be objective, let go of my bias, was like, and also, wait, let me back up. I was offended and irritated by the
Mm-hmm.
Smiths for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
The Red Table Talks, they're entertaining, but it has this, first of all, it's not godly. Second of all, entanglements,
Hmm.
and flipping the scripts and presenting yourself as someone that you follow my wisdom. Let me come to the red table and have these
Mm-hmm.
conversations. I mean, it's cool, but it just seemed like a bit arrogant that first of all, wisdom that's not coming from the Lord is always tainted with something, with ego.
Right. Right.
And the fact that they were just putting themselves out there and the self-help, look at my life and work hard and everything, it was a bit much for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was irritated by it. And I was very offended that this, just like you said, that this person who's writing this book and doing all these things and this icon, and I'm the hardest working, would fail so colossally
Mm-hmm.
in his moment. It was sad, but I was offended.
Right.
And so that's what I was bringing to it. But where I saw my bias and my pride and my lack of objectivity, the truth is that Jada Pinkett has no hair. Whether it's alopecia, whether it's that facelift thing that she got going like this, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's, ooh, that's not nice. Mm, thing. Okay, let me take that back. Take back machine. Whether it is, whether or not she's admitting it or not,
Mm-hmm.
she has no hair and she's not happy about it. For Black women, the
Mm-hmm.
hair
Mm-hmm.
is an issue. Chris Rock did a whole movie about good hair,
He
bad
sure did.
hair, talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
The joke, even though it wasn't even that funny, was, it was in poor taste. Um, Even though the Oscars, that's what it's all about, roasting these rich people, and they
Right.
were in the front row. The bottom line of it is, she didn't think it was funny, and she might have been hurt by being made fun of
What?
in that way. I didn't
What?
think it was. Go ahead.
Well, do we know that she didn't think it was funny?
We know. Well, she heard the vote. She's just rolling her eyes, and then
Right.
everything that happened after that is everything that happened after that.
Right.
But here's the point that I'm making. We don't
Yes.
know, but regardless,
Yes.
she didn't think it was funny. She was offended, and it was a touchy subject for her. It brings up all this alopecia, this
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. It it wasn't like a bad joke. It just hit her in a vulnerable place that
Right.
she may not have even admitted to anybody.
Right.
And the my butting heads with my sister friend about it, she was coming from the angle that nobody wants to be made fun of in an area that they're vulnerable about. That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and me being so aggressive with my bias towards, he never should have did this. The Smiths are just know it all, new age. You're kind of, watch what I say and platform all this other kind of stuff, and all of that. I couldn't see this woman who was being made fun of because she was bald,
Right.
and on a world screen, a world stage, whose feelings were hurt because it was touching a sensitive issue for her.
Mm-hmm.
That this person was making fun of her. in such a timid way. I didn't really think it was bad of a joke, but what do I, it's not me. What if it's
Mm-hmm.
something came in and then here's her husband that is reacting to it? I couldn't see that. His reaction certainly was inappropriate, exposed a whole lot of other stuff. Rabbit trail over here, rabbit trail over there. But my bias and my lack of objectivity had me arguing with a dear friend about it, which it
Mm-hmm.
didn't necessarily need to happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if that hits with anybody else, um, but that's how it hit for me because I'm attempting to be more empathetic with how I communicate things.
Right.
So my takeaway, Kev, from that was this is what I see, but there's a whole lot over here that I will never see. And
Right.
I can't be so fixed on this
Right.
that I can't be open to considering these other things.
Right.
Just because I'm not a Jada Pinkett fan,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool, but I can see that just was just a girl in class being
Right.
made fun of by the
Right.
class clown in front of all of her colleagues
Right.
in a very vulnerable place.
I like.
That, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. That so when we talk about objectivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means what you just explained, that and we can observe a situation, and we can look at a situation, we can observe that there are multiple things that are true,
Right.
right? So the only truth, so if we take this slapping situation and we just concentrate on the slap, right? We may say that the slap was wrong, right? Walking up to a man on stage and slapping him on national TV is wrong, right?
Right.
That's a truth that people can arrive at. But what you just explained, that a woman possibly was offended by, that a joke that was made, a woman was, she was hurt and offended by that, and her husband reacted, right? Now, whether it was a right or wrong reaction, but that's something that we can observe that was possibly true. We're not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just an objective thing that we can observe, right?
Right.
And we could probably go on and pick out some other things that are true about the situation, but that doesn't mean that and it's okay to be
Right.
able to do that. Yeah, that's my
Yeah, but
point.
here's the thing, and this is something that Jason, your work question says to me, like, what does it mean for my life? What it
Exactly.
means for my life,
Right.
even though I don't know these people, I'll never know these people,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
it's just chatter online.
Right.
What it means is that my friend who's sensitive to those kinds of things, I was
Mm-hmm.
arguing with her. I was
Right.
getting irritated with her.
Right.
I could not see that she was empathizing with a woman who was mocked in front of the entire world
Mm-hmm.
in an area that she's really sensitive about. And they're justifying the person who made the joke and focusing more on the reaction of her husband than the fact this woman is bald.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever spin and all kind of, if I can't have empathy for someone whose feelings are hurt in a vulnerable area, I need to re-examine. That needs to be a factor into whatever opinion I create about all this whole thing. And that was a total blind spot that
Mm-hmm.
caused me to have an argument with a dear friend. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be so slanted towards the smack and Will Smith and fake and red table talk and blah, and even my preference towards you know towards Chris Rock. I love
Mm-hmm.
comedians. I'm a joker myself. I appreciate a good joke. I don't think that he would ever have said that if he felt that it would have hurt somebody.
Right.
But I was looking for tickets in Cleveland. He's coming to Cleveland, and I was like, "Chris Rock, I hope you make as much money as you possibly can off of this thing." And I saw them $700 tickets. I was like, "That's all right." But if my opinion is so fixed and my bias is so slanted to where I get in an argument with somebody about it, and I
Hmm.
can't even, I'm not willing to see their side.
I see.
That's where I got the check.
Hmm.
And and then the scripture that I wanted to like, maybe I was not considering how I was being about it. And that
Hmm.
takes me to this scripture. The naive believes everything, but a sensible person
Mm.
considers his or her steps.
Hmm.
I wasn't considering my steps in discerning this. I felt entitled to my passionate opinion. But you can have all those things, but how do you deliver it? How do you relate to people? Are you willing to learn, or are you willing to consider it and feeling your emotions, but keeping them in check?
Hmm.
I don't want to have an argument with a friend of mine over something happened to other people that we never will know. You know,
Right.
it's just that's what comes up for me. What do you think about that? Yeah.
I, I like that scripture that you put on that.
Right.
Um, uh, I have nothing to add to
Hey,
it.
but, people in the comments, if you're doing this, if you're watching this live or later, what do you think about? Oh, I want to shout out Chicken Grease. Come
Hmm.
on, Chicken Grease. You said Chicken Grease said, talking about the situation is, my first thought was displaced anger. You know, that slap that Will did was came from a different place. It had nothing to
Hmm.
do with what's going
Hmm.
on. And I got my psychology degree from YouTube University. So what do I know? That's what my assessment. And then, oh, hi everyone, and bye everyone except for Fake Dear. Oh, that Dear Wrote Christian. What's up, Chicken
Oh,
Grease?
that's not nice.
Hey, we joke around with that. But so that's what I have to say again about the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock. Again, we're going through this whole experience of, am I objective or am I being biased? But I gotta say, I saved the best for last.
Uh